Okay. Hi, Dibyendu. Welcome to the first series of Supply Chain Insider, talking to the supply chain leaders in India. How are you doing today?
All good, man. Very nice. How about you?
Doing great. It's so good to host you. Hello, peeps. We have Dibyendu with us today. He has 17 plus years of experience in supply chain, e-commerce, cross-border, you name it all, he has it all. He has worked with startups to well-established organizations. He has done things locally and globally. Can you believe he played 17 different roles in his career? Let's learn about this from him. Hey Dibyendu, which role are you currently playing?
Currently playing a role of a early stage startup founder, and yeah, interesting journey, and thanks for that lovely introduction.
Awesome. I noticed that 17 different roles is not easy in one's career. I'm at about 8 years of experience and I could just play three roles. Could you tell me what was your biggest challenge between transitioning roles all over your career?
Oh, well, it was 17 roles, but if you see, all the roles were in the similar vertical, right? So not much of a difference. So that the good thing is that for the over a decade now, I'm working with early stage startups, right? And you need to keep frugality, especially while working in a startup environment. So you
Absolutely.
don a lot of hats while working in a startup, and that's how multiple roles. Primarily, I had been into business development, customer acquisition. That is
Mm-hmm.
where I started with. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
then probably moved a little bit into operations of e-commerce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be it D2C and more of a kind of multi-channel e-commerce through multiple channels. How do you enable brand positioning? Then got my instinct with SaaS, probably selling SaaS-based products. Again, on retail, right? SaaS, not maybe something else. As you see, the vertical had always been the similar, right?
Yep.
Been part of selling omni-channel stack as well, right? Where you can manage selling through multiple channels of sales, be it online and offline. Got a hands-on experience in building a kind of a product from scratch, which is into cross-border logistics. It was an
Mm-hmm.
interesting thing to learn and execute, and they're doing pretty well at this point of time. Also, been part of again cross-border team at building solutions around warehousing, e-fulfillment globally. Yeah, so these are the few
Absolutely.
sectors, but everything around, say, e-commerce, right? So the core was e-commerce
Yep.
always, and adding all the components of supply chain around it.
Absolutely. That is very interesting to know. I specifically played the global program manager role in which I did some cross-border shipping. It gets really challenging because you deal with different types of cultures, not customers. Do you specifically recollect, was there any challenge or your experience on global e-commerce as such?
The first thing is compliance and regulations, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you want to ship a product, right, there are plenty of carriers available. If you need
Correct.
certain paperwork done with respect to customs, there are plenty of CHs available, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
However, people have very limited knowledge with respect to regulations and compliance at the destination country, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have seen that some amazing products, the merchants are
Mm-hmm.
able to generate some great demand for those products in global markets. They ship it
Yeah.
from here. Things get messy when it lands at the destination port, right? There could be
True.
certain restrictions with maybe certain component within that particular product. And especially
Yeah.
we have seen with, especially if I talk about these D2C brands today, the new age brands,
Mm-hmm.
preferably in the beauty and personal care or health supplements
Oh yeah.
or certain categories which has to be consumed or applied over a skin, right, would
Mm-hmm.
require an attention to detail, which most of these merchants are unaware of, right? They
Absolutely.
primarily
Yeah.
they sell through their D2C platforms or they sell through their Instagram, right? Even the buyer is not aware, right? So they like the product, they see the features, they find ahead that okay, it's all good enough, and they go ahead and buy it. But from
Yes.
supply chain point of view, right, the most important thing, especially in global e-commerce, is to
Mm-hmm.
understand that what are the complications around regulations and compliances, right? Certain certifications you need to carry, right?
Yeah.
Even we have seen certain products which are like very nice handcrafted products, but use a sesame wood or rosewood. But then you need to have a certification from Ministry of Wildlife, right? And these brands are unaware of that, and they need not be, because they need to focus. They focus more on their core strengths, which is maybe generating the demand and uh, giving a kind of a very
The
nice
branding.
to a customer. And that's where I think we are seeing that a lot of enablers are coming in to address this particular problem.
Yeah, that sounds
This is
interesting.
the
And
thing in global commerce.
yep.
You need to be aware of the compliances and regulations.
Oh yeah. Compliance and regulations reminds me of the customs clearance process as well. I believe very few people understand customs, understand the regulations behind it. Uh, we as a company, when I worked at Amazon, also had issues with specific countries because customs don't remain the same with every country. You have a new regulation in every country and every region. So I understand the challenges there.
And
Awesome.
again, with that, I would say the duties and taxes, right? Because
Yep. Yep.
if I talk from e-commerce exports point of view, right, US is
Hmm.
a preferred market, of course, from India. So people sell from here,
Oh yeah.
and the de minimis value of US is somewhere around $800. So they you don't have any issues
Correct.
incurring any kinds of duties and taxes. But if
Yeah.
it's going to be European Union, right, all those 21 countries in Europe,
Yeah.
EU, as well as in Great Britain,
China as well. Yep.
right? So you have this
Yeah.
VAT now applied. Even for any kind
Hmm.
of cross-border shipments that is entering these nations, you need to pay the VAT, and above a certain threshold, you need to pay the taxes as well, right? They believe that there had been a lot of undervaluing from certain countries with cross-border exports, and they are trying to scrutinize and tighten the rope around. So a lot of people are not aware. So in that case, what happens is somebody shipping from here
Yeah.
certain product, and then they need to pay the VAT, they need to pay the taxes if there's applied, and it is being asked to the customer, either the customer. So it's an overall a negative experience for the buyer who is buying it, right?
Yep. Yep.
Eventually, it affects also the sales of the merchant from India.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's true. Do you recommend any resources that our users or viewers can just check out to understand regulations and customs, or especially something on cross-border shipping?
See, cross-border shipping. From India, as of now, the channels of sales are very less, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
primarily Amazon Global, which is doing a pretty good job. Walmart is
Yeah.
also very aggressive in enabling Indian merchants to global markets. So if you
Yep.
see the route from India to US is pretty much
Mm-hmm.
sorted. I mean, there is a lot of
Yeah.
help that
Yeah.
comes across if there's some kind of a problem. The moment
Correct.
you start looking at some other countries, right? Be it maybe UK or EU, right, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
a little bit in UAE or the GCC countries,
Mm-hmm.
or Southeast Asia, right? That is where things gets complicated, because a lot of enablers from India are also unaware of the local regulations in these places, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
if you need to understand, then probably you should know the trade regulations of those countries. And there are websites;
Mm-hmm.
these are all open information, right? It is there on the web.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
if you are targeting a certain country, so for
Mm-hmm.
example, say you were a D2C brand owner, you were targeting your audience. Maybe you were saying that you want to get a market access to Singapore.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that case, probably try to see that if there are certain regulations. If it's just going to be an apparel or a footwear, the
Mm-hmm.
compliances are not that high. But if it's anything going to
Mm-hmm.
be consumed or applied on skin
Mm-hmm.
or body, go through
Yeah.
the regulations that are available. Just type in maybe the regulations around this
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
Use ChatGPT, OpenAI, right? And you
Yeah.
gather those certain basic information, and that intelligence will help you, right? Uh, Apart from that, if you're going for so if say your sales are very high, right, from certain
Mm-hmm.
geography, in that case you need to
Mm-hmm.
pay the taxes. uh, Now
Yep.
what happens is you sell it, and at a later stage what happens, if the volume goes high, the authorities
Yeah.
there will be liable to ask you for taxes, right? And
Of
how do you
course.
pay that? So it is better you use certain enablers like taxjar or avalara for understanding global taxes,
Mm.
right? you they
Okay.
have they
Okay.
have fantastic plugins you just plug in with your Shopify store or any of these stores that you have, right? And you know that, okay, if it's going to be US and this is what the product is based on HSN classification, you will know that this much of tax that I might incur, right? So you are aware
Yeah.
at least 60% of
Hmm.
things that might come up, right? Because there are legalities as well. Because you are
Absolutely.
trying to sell global, not just for once, uh, one for a moment kind of a thing, right? You want to build
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
business globally, and that's the reason you are going global. So ensure that you have at least the basics sorted. So
That's true.
that's from the taxes, global taxes point of view. Shipping, I think India has come up in the recent past with a lot of enablers. There are aggregators like
Oh yeah.
Shiprocket. There are standalone, shippers like Ship. There's Shipmag. There's one is Zindus, which has recently come
Hmm.
up with
Hmm.
a startup, but with a great team. There's Nimbus Post, which is also an aggregator. Then
Yeah.
you have, of course, the big old boys, the of Indian logistics like DTDC and Express Delivery.
DTC.
I believe
Oh
the
yeah. Oh, yeah.
delivery also does. And
Yep.
then, of course, you have the UPS and FedEx, right?
Oh yeah.
Based
The
on
killers in
how
the
you
market.
want to strategize your turnaround time or delivery timelines, as well as the cost, right? You can choose
Of
any
course.
of these solutions, and they have very robust solutions available. So things are available. uh, Focus on compliance and regulations because that is important, right?
Oh yeah.
Demand
Oh yeah.
generation is again a very different thing. We'll talk maybe at a later stage during the program, because once you have the demand, then probably these things, is from supply point of view, things will be there. But you should be ready before you go ahead for your demand generation. You should be ready with you know the basics in terms of
With execution plan,
fulfilling,
basically.
and
Yep.
fulfilling those orders.
Absolutely. Yeah. So your point states that we should focus on creating awareness on compliance. We readily have services that can be used to fulfill cross-border shipping.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can leverage on the government sites that are available, especially FIO,
Hmm.
Federation of Indian
Hmm.
Export Organization, right? Uh, Keep
Yeah.
following the notifications on DGFT website, which is Director General of
Uh
Foreign
huh.
Trade, right? If you are in a
Okay.
certain vertical, right,
Hmm.
go ahead and
Hmm.
see the Export Promotion Council of that particular vertical. Say there's handicraft, there's jewelry, there's uh,
Yeah.
other merchandise exports verticals, right?
Yep. Yep.
Keep a good relation with them. They have local offices in every district, or I would say at least every state
Oh.
headquarters. They have their
Hmm.
offices, right? Uh, Go
Okay.
there,
Okay.
visit them, talk to them, right? So these are all enablers, right? You need to take help of these enablers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that, Dibyendu. Talking about D2C, I am an avid user of the hyperlocal market, be it Instamart, Blinkit, or any other apps like Zepto. Do you have anything to talk about this hyperlocal supply chain, and do you think such supply chain models can be extended to any other fulfillment services?
I have an interesting experience with Hyperlocal. So my earlier
Uh-huh.
organization I was working with, they also had Hyperlocal services. And the good thing is that the cross-border team and the Hyperlocal team were together. Uh, you know, so probably we could hear back what they're doing and the hustle that is going on. So they had almost eight
Okay.
nine micro stores or fulfillment stores for Hyperlocal deliveries around NCR, and it was interesting to see how this is shaping up. Uh, I am also an user of Hyperlocal, as you mentioned, right? So I stay in a society. There is a department store in my society, but I don't know. Is it my laziness or is it my convenience that I hardly walk down and probably get fetch it from there. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I am curious to understand how it will phase out because um, I'll talk because I had my experience in NCR. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and NCR, probably the clusters where there's a lot of population, they have this
Oh
Kirana
yeah.
store. And they have an
Oh
extremely
yeah.
good relation with all the neighboring houses, right? And
Oh
Chotu ki
yeah.
dukaan, probably one call, everything comes. Even WhatsApp reminders.
Absolutely.
We have seen that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hyperlocal still, I believe, is good for, and this is my experience, my observation, real-time observation, is that I have seen
Mm-hmm.
bachelors ordering, especially in these clusters, a lot from hyperlocal, right? Uh, I haven't seen families yet uh, Now, from families who are ordering from Hyperlocal, I have seen people staying in societies, right? That is where the families are ordering. But over a course of time, I happened to meet a drone delivery startup, which who are incubating
Wow.
from IIT Delhi. I'll take a
Wow.
look at
Okay.
ESAW. Uh, Kisan Tiwari, what I'm forgetting this guy's name. Is a young
Uh-huh.
chap from IIT Delhi. They have this
Okay.
drone delivery, and they tested, and they wanted to test the hyperlocal delivery as well in a couple of the warehouses that my earlier organization uh, had, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
was interesting. It was interesting to see that probably how they could cover a distance of 10 kilometers uh,
Wow.
seamlessly with a great speed, right, and accuracy
Yeah.
with respect to the drone delivery, right? So I somehow feel that the present hyperlocal will transcend to drone deliveries, and I'm sure uh, there will be pods in every society where there could be a place that the deliveries will be done, right? I think that,
That's
and
interesting.
it was
Yeah.
incubated. So these guys are incubating. They have raised some grants and funds also. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
believe
Yeah.
the hyperlocal delivery will get into a drone delivery because I have seen the accuracy. I have seen them test from one of our warehouses to a diameter of almost to a circumference of somewhere 10 kilometers. Uh,
Wow. That's
let's see how it
interesting. And of
let's see
course.
how it phase out.
Oh yeah.
Considering one of them is in a bad shape with respect to the funding, but the other two, three are doing surviving, and let's see how it evolves.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I learned this newly today. And of course, I agree with you because there's zero traffic, zero agents delivering your shipment. So it's all in the air. I saw a video from the US in which a startup delivers food via robots, but these robots take the pathways or the road to deliver. And I saw videos in which these robots were beaten up. It's either by the homeless people or it's either by people who are afraid of their jobs going away as delivery agents, etc. But looks like this solution is going to solve for all of that unless we are just interrupting the ATC signal.
Any disruptions has to
Oh
go
yeah,
through such phases, right? But interesting, it's an interesting watch how hyperlocal shapes up, right? Because at the end of the
yeah,
day is adding value with respect to convenience, right? If you see the Indian
absolutely,
population do not
absolutely.
have time for their grocery purchase, right?
Hmm.
They don't have the last mile,
Yep.
the last moment catch up. Even I had an experience. I had to go for a kind of a client call, a virtual call, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I forgot to bring my earpods. Uh, and what I did was I just because I was working in a co-working space and there was noise around. I needed a headphone. Blinked it, right? 10 minutes, it was gone. I could take my call without any noise, right? So if you see
Wow,
the convenience point of view, right, at that
Abs-
moment, it solved. It helped me.
I agree. I agree. You pay for the convenience, of course. The price is spiked, but
Yeah,
nothing like it. You save time and effort, and it solves the purpose. So why not?
true, true. Now,
Absolutely.
as an addressable market, I don't know how big it will be with respect to
Hmm.
convenience yet in India.
Hmm. Oh yeah, oh yeah, awesome. So, do you have any thoughts or any suggestions for people who want to pursue career in supply chain? Any motivation or any other objectives that you think that can be helpful to our audience? That'd be great to hear from you.
See, I was never a supply chain guy. I evolved because I loved it, right? I looked into the intricacies with respect to supply chain, the challenges, and and it's like a seamless problem that you keep on solving, and problems keep on coming at, and it's fun solving those problems. However, from a career point of view, if you talk about supply chain, uh, is going to become a mainstream subject very soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have
Mm-hmm.
MBA in finance and marketing,
Yeah,
like other streams,
yeah.
it will be MBA in supply chain, and I bet that it is going to be. See, supply chain as a word was coined especially post 2000, right? Earlier we had
Yep,
materials
yep.
management, we had logistics, we had uh, uh, different departments. Now supply chain as a department comprises of everything, right?
That's true.
Supply
That's
chain
true.
is looking at even how to add value to the P&L statement, right?
Yep.
Supply chain
Yep.
is looking at optimizing each and every component. See, what is supply chain, right? Supply chain
Why
is
not?
right from sourcing or procuring uh, till the last mile delivery, right? The
Yep.
entire
Yep.
chain of events that happens across this line is supply chain, right? So
True.
you cannot work in silos that okay, my procurement team is just focusing about procurement team. The procurement team should think about how to optimize the procurement so that the marketing team at the end of the day has a good budget, right? In terms of selling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The logistics team should think that okay, my procurement team is getting it at such cost, and my marketing team has so much of margin. How do I optimize certain places in terms of the delivery
Very well
of the
said.
product, right?
Very well
The
said. Yep.
marketing team or the operations team has to think about how do I forecast, right? And if I am doing my forecasting, I apply a time series method or what method in whatever method that I have in my forecasting models, it should justify that the inventory planning and my demand forecasting is at sync, right? So,
True. True.
supply chain cannot work in silos anymore, and everything will be part of supply chain. So you will find VP of marketing and sales, right? You will find now a VP of supply chain, right? Who would manage this entire thing, right? Who will be responsible for optimizing each and every step of the supply chain process. Uh, so if you plan to build a career in supply chain, boss, you are recession proof, that I can say, right? Because world is moving, right? Uh,
Oh yeah.
but you need supply chain, and supply chain is not just products. Supply chain is also in service, right? So
True.
understand that
True.
where you could fit in, right? You love services or product, right? But supply chain has to be there, right? We have
Absolutely.
seen
Absolutely.
during COVID, supply chain was everything. We have seen the problems also in supply chain, right? There was a container
Oh
shortage,
yeah.
and there were problems with respect to supply of essential elements that was required at
Yeah.
this point of time, right?
Production issues. Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Career in supply chain would be recession proof, right? Go ahead, and it will be a vertical. It will be a vertical with core specialization, and that's why you see almost every IIM or every top B school has today. If you go ahead and search, right at this point of time, you'll find everybody has a kind of a special certification or program in supply chain management.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it.
And world is moving towards new things, right? For example, world is moving towards circular economy, right? Circularity, right? Where people
Yeah.
are adopting ESG principles, right?
Yep.
Sustainability,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
you need to evolve and understand that probably how a component of a bicycle can be used. You source maybe different parts from different parts of the world, and how you can optimize the entire cost, and then probably know what price point you will sell it, right? So everything comes under supply chain, right? And as I said, it's no longer a
Absolutely.
silo. Supply chain is not logistics.
Thank you for calling that out,
We
Dibyendu.
think
Yeah.
that supply chain is just logistics. No, logistics is just a minor component of supply chain management,
True.
supply chain
True.
entire process, right?
I often happen to educate people on this. Can't agree more on you about not working in silos because
Right
each
from
of these pieces will
right from
go up to
demand
the ecosystem.
forecasting, your
Yeah.
procurement of raw materials, your
Yep.
operations management, till probably your inventory planning, right? Your seasonality, uh, everything is part of supply chain. You need to know every piece of it, and every piece, and you need to talk to each every team, every department has to talk to each other. Now, how the talking will happen, maybe an IoT can come in between, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, it's no longer a silo thing.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thanks for that answer. And I'm so glad that we were able to connect on different things on supply chain. Would just like to end our conversation by talking about your current role and company so that any interested viewers can reach out to you, check your profile out, your company.
Uh, so uh, I I first of all, my company name is Niryati Global, right?
Hmm.
It's an interesting name because I believe there's a China plus one strategy already in place, right? And hopefully, a lot of Indian brands or merchants or manufacturers could add value to the global supply chain, right? And so that's why the name is Niryati, where Niryat means export in Sanskrit. And Niryati, I'm yet to understand why I, because I thought there could be copyright issues with the word like Niryat. So I've just added Y. And my objective is to enable Indian brands or manufacturers with global market access, right? We are incorporated in Singapore, Dubai, US, and India, wherein at this juncture we could enable any brands with the market access in each of these places. We also have our warehousing and last mile delivery solutions in all of these places. We
Hmm.
proclaim ourselves to be 4PL Global Supply Chain Solutions enabler.
Hmm.
Why 4PL is because we would love to remain asset light at this point of time. We never know that how things will turn out. So we will use the capabilities of some large 3PLs in the backend and
Yep.
add a layer of strategy in terms of right from demand generation to as we spoke during our
Everything that we spoke.
everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that is what we aim to. We are also building certain solutions in terms of how we could help a small MSME to plan and forecast. Because what happens in MSMEs, they get afraid with respect to the word exports. They think that too much of paperwork, whether I'll get my money. There's a trust factor
Yeah.
involved, right? What are the different HS codes? I don't know what my product's HS codes is. So we want to build a kind of a tech platform as well, where probably somebody can right from planning to execution for any kind of exports will become very easy and seamless. So this is what, as of now, at this stage, we have just started. Right, we may pivot, we may find out more interesting problems to solve, and yeah. So any brand that plans to go global, probably we can help.
Wow, that's awesome. It was really inspiring to talk to you today, Dibyendu, and all the best for your new venture. And yeah, that's all.
Pleasure
Thank you
talking
so
with
much.
you, Sunit. I think you are doing a great job. I think we need influencers like you. A lot of talks has to happen around supply chain because it's all around the closed doors in boardrooms or maybe in offices. Because again, this is a great subject. I love this subject, and yeah, wish you also all the best.
Thank you so much. See you around. Bye.